So many of you listening are incredible filmmakers, but if you're stuck in the cycle of always editing with no time to actually work on your business, it can really stunt your growth. Taylor and I see it all the time. A growing backlog, late nights behind the computer, and no space to focus on booking, marketing, or scaling. That's exactly why we're so excited to partner with Wanderlust. Wanderlust offers professional video editing services for filmmakers, including highlight films, feature films, documentary edits, ceremony and speech edits, elopements, and even social media teasers. And the best part is they match your style, so your films still feel like your artistry. Whether you edit in Final Cut, Premiere Pro, or DaVinci Resolve, they deliver a seamless outcome no matter which platform you use. Outsourcing your edits means more time working on your branding, making it to that networking event, and carving out time for education to actually grow your business instead of being buried in footage. Head over to wanderlust-videos.com to learn about their amazing services. And as a listener, you can get $100 off your first project with Wanderlust of $200 or more with the code LEVELUP100. If your backlog is keeping you from working on your business, Wanderlust is your solution.
This is the Level Up Podcast. I'm Taylor Petrinovich.
And I'm Kelly Gilster of 618 Studios.
And we are on a mission to help wedding filmmakers and photographers level up their businesses so you can make more and work less.
We want to help you confidently take your business from mainstream to luxury, and it all starts right here.
Hey friends, and welcome to another episode of the Level Up Podcast. I'm your host, Taylor Petrinovich, joined as always by my co-host, Kelly Gilster.
Hey guys. Hey Taylor. How are you?
I'm great. I'm actually excited because we're doing something a little different on the podcast this week. For those of you who don't know, we have a mastermind program, and our mastermind students can opt into our alumni program. And in there, we get some really great questions, and we wanted to highlight one that we received recently in the Facebook group and answer it as a podcast episode. So we think this will be a good one. It'll spark a lot of great conversation and be one where we would love for you guys to send us a DM on your thoughts on this. I'm going to keep the person who asked it anonymous, though. But this is the question. We have a planner that we would love to work with reach out about covering behind the scenes and details of the day of the event for them, as they would like to showcase the wedding, and the couple hasn't hired a cinematographer. So this is obviously a videographer. Delivery-wise, they want a next day reel. They asked how much we would charge for something like this. Would you all just offer to do it for free, or would you charge what you normally do? We haven't really charged for behind the scenes before, so not really sure what's standard for this either. Would love anyone's insight.
Love that. This is such a great opportunity, actually. And just to reiterate, Taylor, in the question, she said that the planner offered to pay for them or asked what they would charge for it.
Yes, the planner said how much we would charge for something like this.
Which is really sweet for the planner, because I think sometimes it can be like assumed that you will do it for free. Honestly, in my honest opinion, I would do it complimentary. If it truly indeed is a planner that I've recognized is one that is doing great events in a market that I'm trying to break into. Maybe the market is more of the luxury space. Maybe the market is a specific region that I want to break into. So I'm actually in Southern California. And if it was something where it was a planner that's working a lot more in Santa Barbara, but maybe I don't have as many Santa Barbara planner connections there, I would probably totally do it complimentary. And this works in two ways. One, you build relationship with the planner. And two, it gives you an opportunity to have something on your portfolio that's probably set apart from what your paid clients have been able to offer design-wise for your portfolio.
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of those things where a lot of people will again, I know that Cherish from Larev listens to the podcast, so shout out to you guys. But Lindsay once said to our mastermind students, they step over dollars to pick up pennies. And this is one of those things where, yes, of course, having the planner pay you for your time for this will be an immediate return on investment in terms of like you're actually being paid. But if you do it complimentary and do a really wonderful job, provide a great experience, over time, it will actually pay out tenfold for you if you approach it correctly. So, it's definitely just one of those things that you need to navigate and would be done on a case by case basis. I've actually had a few planners reach out to me who have asked for similar things, but through exploring their Instagram and their portfolio and seeing the weddings that they are producing, I've realized sometimes that it's not going to be likely that within a reasonable amount of time that they would have a client who would be able to afford my rates at this time. And so I have either quoted or gently declined these opportunities, but then passed it along to some of my friends who serve the same market, which I think would be a great fit for them, right? Just because something's not a good fit for you doesn't mean it's not a great fit for somebody else. But then I've also encountered times where people have asked this of me, and it is a planner I would love to build a relationship with, and I have eagerly said yes. So every time it's going to be different, but when it's the right fit, it could be a really amazing opportunity.
Absolutely. I think, though, too, the first step, because you've talked a lot about understanding, you've taken a look at the Instagram, and I'm sure listeners here are sitting there being like, wait, you just took a look at their Instagram and you can tell if someone can like have a client to afford you or not. Like, how would you even know? And that's where building a complete understanding of the industry as a whole and what things cost down to the plates chosen down to the glassware chosen, all things that Taylor and I, week one is like where we lay the groundwork foundation with our mastermind students. They probably get in there and they're like, what did I sign up for? JK, they're excited all the time. But like it is something so different because it's a totally different approach of getting outside of our echo chamber as a filmmaker, as a photographer, maybe as a makeup artist if you're listening, or as a florist if you're listening, where you learn more of like the hard costs and you can actually like build in your mind a price point of what that ceremony costs or what that reception costs in order for you to kind of see, you know, where you may find yourself in a situation where maybe the planner is serving a client that has a photo video budget of this versus a planner, and you look at that feed and you're like, wow, okay, cool. Like this is what I want to be shooting more of. And then that's where you can make more of a calculated risk. I mean, it is kind of one of those things where it's kind of a risk to like go out and shoot a project and build the relationship in hopes that it actually takes, in hopes that it creates revenue for you in months to come. But when you can have that awareness of the industry as a whole, it becomes more of a calculated risk so that you're not just like saying yes to something that could happen or something that will happen, but actually has like the opportunity to actually turn into revenue for you.
Yeah, it's like the difference between throwing a handful of seeds on the ground and seeing what sprouts versus very intentionally digging your little 2-inch holes and planting the seeds and then watering the seeds and tending to them over time. Like, those are two very different strategies that are going to pay off for two very different business models. And being able to understand where you are in the industry, where you want to go in the industry, and which ways to move forward will be the best. It's actually kind of funny. I feel like in Facebook groups and online, there's always people who are so offended or up in arms,
Yeah.
like when they're asked to do things for free or for at discounted rates or whatever. And I think it's like it's always just so funny to me. And I feel like it's the people that are upset about those things that never will grow. Like you can see it. Like I don't know. There's something about being stubborn and like so set in your ways and so set in one specific mindset that does not lead itself to growth. And then the people who are a little bit more maybe like open-minded or yes, like a yes man, right? Or yes woman. Those are the people who we see grow so quickly in the industry. And even like watching my peers in the industry or people that I coached back in 2020, 2021, and seeing those who just skyrocketed in their business versus people who are more or less kind of in the same position, like seeing those habits and that mindset really actually like play a huge role in very, very real, tangible growth is kind of actually interesting to watch. Here at the Level Up Co., Kelly and I truly do believe that an elevated client experience from the very first touch point of that first email all the way through the delivery of your wedding films or those final galleries are all so important. And that's why Kelly and I both have been using and loving VidFlow for the last several years, and we recommend to all of our students and our audience members to use VidFlow as well. Delivery experience truly matters. The way your clients view their films for the very first time should be a magical moment. It needs to be a professional and branded experience, instead of basic file sharing like Dropbox or Google Drive, or even Vimeo or YouTube links. Through VidFlow, clients can stream their videos through smart TVs, streaming devices, and set-top boxes. Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, you name it. There are so many options for clients to watch and experience their films for the very first time on the big screen at home. And VidFlow is now offering photo delivery as well. They now support photo delivery with their new hybrid galleries, which is a major benefit for hybrid shooters and combined photo and video teams. You can now deliver your beautiful photo galleries alongside your video galleries in one place. Level up your delivery experience for 2026 and beyond with VidFlow. You can get started today by going to vidflow.co/thelevelupco.
Yeah, don't be a stick in the mud, guys. Get out there and turn into a yes person. Maybe here in 2026, maybe you originally kind of created walls in your business that are keeping you trapped inside. And so break those walls down, create different levels of boundaries, and be able to say yes to more things. Maybe your calendar year is feeling a little bit sparse when it comes to like paid clients, and you're sitting here being like, the inquiries aren't coming in. That's where I would focus on kind of what we talked about recently on the podcast, which is just like visibility as a whole. Becoming visible. And Taylor, you had a great analogy for our mastermind students as we closed out our program last fall. What was that analogy? Like a ball in motion remains in motion?
Oh, I was like taking it back to physics, right? So an object at rest stays at rest, and an object in motion stays in motion, right? So it takes the most energy to get something that is static, that's not moving, and that hasn't moved in quite some time to build that momentum and get it rolling. That's going to feel like the hardest part of business. And that can look like starting a new business, like going from 0 to 100. It can look like maybe you took 6 months off for maternity leave and you haven't shown up online and you haven't showed up in the room and you haven't really done a whole lot in your business besides like maybe edit. Well, okay, that's going to take a lot of energy. But once the momentum is built and once the ball is rolling, it's going to feel a lot easier, right? So don't feel discouraged if your ball isn't rolling. Like just know it's going to take 60 to 90 days to get it rolling again, and then it'll feel easier after that. So I think that's one of those things that feels so discouraging to people is when it seems daunting. Actually, I was sending you a voice memo the other day of this analogy, and we'll bring it in now. I was watching a TikTok. I would love to lie and say I was reading an article, but it's always a TikTok that I was watching. But there's a lot of really smart people on TikTok. So this one girl was saying that she recently learned this, like, I don't know, this way of approaching your life that will open you up to a lot of amazing opportunities. And it was this: if you are somebody who wants to go vegan and really like sees the health benefits or really aligns with a vegan lifestyle, but you just really love bacon so much, and so you just can't bring yourself to go vegan, so instead you're just not going to do it at all. Like, okay, well, instead of not doing it all, how about you just go vegan and then also have bacon? Like, do the thing that you really want to do, like your big goal, but then also work in the one thing that was holding you back. Right. So like
Yeah.
I really want to I really want to show up and be like a bigger presence on Instagram, but I can't post every day, so I'm just not going to post at all. Okay, well that's ridiculous. Like you can see how it's ridiculous, right? Like so how about you just start with twice a week? So don't post every day, but still be a presence on Instagram. Like, okay, I'm an introvert. Like I can't spend every Friday at networking events. Like I'm going to get so burnt out. Like that seems insane to me. Okay, well, just do one. Start with one networking event, right? It doesn't have to be this like all or nothing approach. Like some is better than none, and moving towards your goals slowly is better than not at all, right? So don't let the bacon hold you back from being a vegan.
Totally. Absolutely. This is not totally, but kind of. I would say also for those who maybe, like I talked about, you built these walls around yourself or you were so used to like conducting in a certain way. Maybe your 2024 self would be like completely offended by the fact that you would show up for a planner to shoot something for free because you know your worth and you've decided like this is the way in which you do things. Maybe this is the year that you're like, okay, I can recognize that maybe I'm in a new season of my business that's going to mean for newer like marketing techniques or a different approach in which I once did things. Very different
Ooh.
analogy than what I'm about to bring in.
It's like a never say never thing. Like, how many times have you felt like, ooh, because one time you said, I'm never going to do this, I'm never going to do that, and then turn around and here we are? Like, don't keep your, when you said I would never do that, keep you like held back from what you want to do now, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
So I'm going to bring Paul into the mix.
he
Love
loves
Paul.
that.
Everybody loves a Paul. Paul does not listen to the podcast, but so he'll never know. But Paul is a creature of habit. He truly is. And he'll recognize and say, yeah, I'm a creature of habit. And this is the way in which like I do things. When he grew up in a family that road tripped everywhere. So whether they were going to Montana, whether they were going out to Texas, whether they were wherever they went, they drove. And that was like the way that he grew up and all that. I would say my family also drove, and probably from like a cost standpoint, like it's cheaper generally to drive than fly, depending on the road trip and hotel stays and all that stuff. Well, now we have 3 young kids. And so, and we have options. Like we have the ability to have options for how we choose for travel to look like for us. So we just took this trip out to Utah. And so immediately he kind of falls into the realm of like, we're going to drive. We're going to drive. And I had to bring in like, have you thought about maybe flying? And he's like, well, no, I don't want to fly because of the packing and because of this and like because like having to get everything like that. And then I don't have my own car and I don't have this. And I'm like, well, we could rent a car. We could probably rent the same car that we have here. And I'm kind of coming up with like things of like, okay, well, have you thought about it from this way? So rather than spending 9 hours driving to Utah and 9 hours back, we'll be spending 2 hours in the plane and 2 hours back. But like, I think what he was tied to for the longest time, and maybe I'm just like trying to bring this back into like what this means, but maybe in your mind, you were, like I said, tied to a certain way of business. And for Paul, he was tied to the fact that he didn't want to travel with his snowboard. And so I'm like, then rent a snowboard. Like, just rent a snowboard while we go out. Like, this trip is kind of for our kids. Like, this isn't like, I think he was held on to like what the ski trip used to look like when it was just for him. When it was like, I love my own snowboard and I'm a good snowboarder and I don't want to use the rental snowboarder. And I'm like, well, this was like 20 something Paul and like his way of doing things. Now let's look at the 30 something Paul with 3 young kids. What does that mean? What does that look like for what makes sense for our certain season of life? And what is the end all goal for this trip? The end all goal is to bring our kids, have a great time, teach them how to ski. We're not necessarily shredding on black diamonds right now on this trip. We're going to be on the bunny slopes. And I'm pretty sure the rental snowboard can handle the bunny slopes just as well as your own snowboard can. So like, I don't know. Are you seeing like comparisons here drawn on like where people would be kind of like maybe stuck in like what once business looked like for them to
Yeah.
now like where business can look like for them based on some certain things and how you don't need to hold on to how you used to do things forever and ever. It's kind of like that never say never.
Hey, friends, really quickly, I'm going to interrupt this podcast episode because I just want to say we are so grateful to have you as listeners. Heading into our 2026 wedding season and into 2027 next year, we just know that so much is on the horizon for you. Because you're listening to this podcast, that means you are a really ambitious photographer or filmmaker, or maybe a content creator in the wedding industry who has sights sights set on the next level of business. The Luxury Mastermind program, which is our signature program here at the Level Up Co., is going to help you do just that. We have helped hundreds wedding filmmakers and photographers elevate their businesses into that next level. A great example of this is Skylar Ball, who is a wedding filmmaker based in Tennessee, who was charging $3,500 per wedding when he joined our program, and now 18 months later, he's consistently booking at $12,000. We've had other students book their first five-figure wedding during our program, and we've had many students be able to double and triple their prices, which sounds crazy, but it's actually true, and we are so proud of them. If you are ready to see growth like that, if you're ready to get to that next level in business, book out your calendar year with weddings at a price point that you feel so proud of, and with weddings that are artistically fulfilling for you and that are just so fun to capture, we would love to welcome you inside our next round of the Luxury Mastermind. We are currently pre-enrolling seats before we officially launch, and students who pre-enroll get a bonus one-on-one coaching call with Kelly or myself, which is something we absolutely do for our students as a little thank you for signing up early. You can go to thelevelupco.com/mastermind to learn more about the program, see what's inside, and to pre-enroll. That should be linked in the description box down below if you're watching on YouTube, or linked in the description if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Kelly and I are so excited for our next cohort of the Luxury Mastermind, and we hope to see you in there so that we can guide you to that next level of business and beyond. I have so many examples like that come to mind immediately. I'm like, autoresponders on emails, the not subscription to like advertise. I would say the biggest one is like, well, I have to wear sneakers on the wedding day because the comfort of my little feet are of the most importance. Actually, this is funny. I recently put out a reel and then we turned it into an ad, but that ad got a comment on it that was like, I don't understand why you're wearing these heels shooting this wedding as a filmmaker. That's ridiculous. And I didn't respond to it, although I wanted to. And it's like, well, my comfort is second to how I'm showing up on a wedding day. I think I can handle 12 hours of being slightly uncomfortable. It could be like, well, I've always started at 6 hours of coverage and like it was fine for these clients. And it's like, well, okay, moving into this level of the market, they need 10, right? So like there's so many things that shift and change.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, I mean, it's all going to go back to like, if you don't swim, you're going to sink. If you don't push forward, you're going to fall back. You need to be so open-minded and so willing to change the way we do things. Not only because from like a technical perspective, the industry changes so fast, like the way people are shooting or what they're expecting like the final deliverable to be. Like, heads up, we recommend all of our mastermind photographer students to get a drone. Like, people are loving the drone photography now, not just video. But to the way like clients are expecting their creative partners to behave, to interact, the tangible like goods and like deliverables,
Yeah.
everything is shifting.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember when you would deliver, I don't know if you ever did this, but I did. Did you ever deliver films on DVDs and Blu-ray?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Like, could you imagine a client trying to receive that now? Like, I got my wrist slapped because I delivered a client's film that way in 2018, and she receives it and she goes, this is great, but I literally don't have a disc reader on my laptop. How am I supposed to watch this?
And you're like, oh, duh. Like,
So if sitting here in 2025, you're still trying to do those antiquated delivery systems, or you're just holding on to whatever for no other reason other than this is the way I've always done it,
yeah.
then people who are willing to be flexible and to adapt are going to pass you by.
Yeah. And I always like to find the root of the no. Like, there's always a root to the no, or like the never, like I'll never do that or whatever. And like, so for Paul, it was like, I was like, I want to fly. He wants to drive. And I'm like, let's just fly. For me, it's a no-brainer. It's however many hours less of travel, like 12 hours less of travel for us. And then it all came down to, I want to have my own snowboard because that's the way in which I've always done it. I don't want to rent a snowboard because it's not going to be good as my snowboard and whatever. But like, even like, okay, in our past mastermind, when we talk about automations and things like that, we'll get pushback of students being like, "Well, how do you even keep up with all of your emails on like when to get in touch with your clients and all that stuff?" And we walk through our whole flow and system, and then it comes to like, "Well, tell me what you send your clients." And then I got a list of like 15 to 18 emails that they were sending their clients from initial, maybe it was even from like booking and onboarding into final delivery. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's the root there. No wonder why you're having hesitations and there's a no on like turning off your email autoresponders because yeah, I wouldn't be able to keep up with 15 to 18 emails that I'm sending out to my clients as well. I'm streamlining the communication process. So we walk them through how to do that and the way in which these luxury clients want to be communicated with. But sometimes it's just better to understand like what the core no is. So if you're kind of sitting here and bringing it back to showing up at a wedding where there's no videographer and shooting for the planner, complimentary because you want to build that relationship. If you're sitting there and saying no, or if you once said, no, I'm never going to do that, that feels ridiculous. Maybe go back to like the why. Is the why just because someone randomly in a Facebook group told you that it was not the way in which to do things and you held so tightly to that because it hit you at the right time and you decided like, okay, I'm building my business model based on this, knowing my worth. Of course, it's great to know your worth, but it's also great to get that ball in motion and to get that visibility and that new marketing strategy that is probably one that you should be starting to implement in order to allow you to then trickle down, build demand, raise your prices, shoot more creatively fulfilling weddings. Like it just all is the circle of life approach because you said yes to something that maybe you never considered before.
Yeah. So, I mean, okay, let's look at 2026 as your invitation to be open minded to opportunities that may come your way, as an invitation to change systems within your business that are no longer serving you, for you to maybe adopt new practices that you never would have considered before or that you'd always said no to, for one reason or another. When you know adopting them may move you forward. Like, I feel like this year is one of growth, of change, and none of those things are possible if you just stay doing the same thing year after year. So, we would love to invite you to try some new things. Actually, one thing I'm trying, or I have been implementing in 2026, is experimenting with running ads. I've never done that really, besides a boosted post here or there to my primary film business. But I was talking with somebody who had great success with running ads, so I'm giving that a try. We're always trying new things, and I feel like a lot of people look at it as almost like a life or death thing when like it's not that serious. Like we do weddings, like it's it's not the end of the day or it's not the end of the world if something doesn't work out. Like maybe worst case scenario, you're out a couple $100s. Okay, well, you go shoot another wedding at a discounted rate and you recoup those costs pretty easily, right? So there's always ways to recover like missing costs. Or maybe you spent a bunch of time on a strategy and it didn't pan out. Well, that's fine. You're full time in this job anyway. What have you been doing with those hours playing video games? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like the end of the like if it doesn't work out, the worst case scenario is like not a big deal, right?
Yeah, that's exciting, Taylor. I'm excited to hear how that goes for you.
Yeah, stay tuned.
All right. Anything else we want to leave on this one? A little spicy this one. I'm sure if you have a differing opinion, actually, I would invite you to send us a DM if you have a differing opinion and kind of tell us where your hesitations might fall, or if you're just scared of like a certain something happening because you did this. I think sometimes too, like people get in my husband Paul also is one that's like semi guilty of this, of like coming up with the reasons in which it could backfire on you. Or like
Mm,
you want to say, well, if I say yes, then what happens if this happens? And then this could happen and then this could happen. And then you just say no because you're scared of like the what ifs and the possibilities that may never ever happen. So, yeah, if you have a differing opinion or if you have done this before and it's resulted in a great relationship with a wedding planner, we'd love to hear your experience because I think it's a great opportunity. And I would highly recommend doing that. And it's things in which I'm doing in my own business too. So I don't know if I've talked a lot about the fam trip that I shot in Lanai. I think I talked about it briefly a few months ago. I did that last November in 2025, and that was an unpaid opportunity. And it was an amazing opportunity. Actually, I bought my flight to get there. And so I just think it's so good for listeners to hear the transparency of what you, Taylor, and what I'm doing in my own business so that they know that, like, oh, cool, like they've done that. It's okay for me to do it too. Like you feel that you're reassured that it's an okay move to make in your business.
Yeah, 100%. All right, guys. That's going to do it for this episode. Thanks for listening. If you're still hanging in there with us, we will see you next week. Thank you for joining us in today's conversation. Please help us reach more filmmakers and photographers like you by taking a screenshot and sharing it to social media. And don't forget to tag us at The Level Up Co.
And join us again next week, same time, same place, as we continue to level up the industry together.